Jane a round of applause for her presentation. I know that I am truly inspired to get my LinkedIn updated, and so it's really great. Thank you so much, Jane. So as I said, I'm here to introduce our next speaker, Jose Evora, who is the CEO and owner of Darwin College. If you'd like to come forward. Just to give you guys a little bit of a background, he migrated to Australia in 1997 and has managed many colleges since. Is a lecturer at Western Sydney University for over 10 years, and we're very privileged to have him here today. So can everybody please give him a round of applause as he comes up?
So basically today, I guess, we're going to look at pathways and skills pathways. So, I mean, what I will do today is that I'll take you to a journey of the Australian education system, very, very briefly. And hopefully some of you might see some pathways for yourself or some of your loved ones. And too often I was talking to a few people earlier, and I was told that sometimes our parents, not sometimes, always, our parents are our first teachers. Sometimes they come a bit short because they don't know much about the education system. For instance, I went to primary school in Africa, in the Cape Verde Islands. I went to high school in Norway. I graduated with a first degree there. Then I came here with my master's in education and commerce and other areas. But little did I know about how the system really works, and who am I to teach my kids about the pathways that they should take. So basically, when you look at skills, just think about your driver license. Yeah? So you look at theory exam, and then you have the practical exam. So what happened in Australia is that since the 70s, they started developing the vocational sector from the old English system of trade schools. And in the 90s, then there was a task force created to develop the Australian qualification framework. By 1995, it was created, then they started testing it. It was supposed to be launched by the year 2000. And around 2003, we joined the rest of the world in terms of qualification recognition, mutual recognition with the rest of the world. Something that might be interesting for you to understand. We will have a look at that as we go on. Next slide, please. Yeah. So basically, I mean, the whole idea of skills is basically so that you can get a job. I think this slide summarizes the thing very briefly in terms of your level of skills and you know, unemployment and getting employed. So the idea, and we're going to discuss this a little bit later when we're going to look at some micro credentials, but the idea is to basically be up to date with the new requirements of the industry. So basically, like Jane was talking about, making yourself visible, showing those skills that you have, making sure that you know they're current and they're what your employer wants, current employer, and what actually the industry really wants. I'm going to be very brief. Next slide. So a lot of things have changed in the industry. So with the launch of basically since the 90s, we've implemented vocational training in schools. In the old days, if you didn't finish high school, you would be a loser. But that's not the truth anymore, and you should tell that to your children. It's not the truth. So basically, I'm going to illustrate this in a graph that looks at all the three sectors that we have in the Australian qualification framework, which is high school, vocational sector, and higher educational sector. And what has happened is that and some things that many of us as parents do not use is actually vetting schools. So basically, the better suburbs in Sydney, they've done some studies which look like the parents make sure that the children, before they finish high school, they have a certificate 3 in, say, hospitality. For you to become actually a hotel manager in Australia, all you need is certificate 3 in hospitality. So basically, before they even finish high school, they already have a piece of paper that allows them to go and start working. Too often I see parents, when their children finish high school, They already have a certificate 2 in business or in other areas, and yet they've sent back to TAFE to start with certificate 1. So we're going to look at how this compares basically across the board. In Australia, what has happened is that we've started with something called dual accreditation. So basically say if you're a TAFE, a vocational sector, basically like Darwin College in RTO, and also we have TAFEs, but you can also register to become a higher education institution. Yeah? And the higher education institution as well, like UTS for instance, they have InSearch, where actually they've gone back and also created vocational schools as well. So that they go basically hand in hand. So what we do is that we also articulate with higher education provider. So there's been quite a lot of development within the AQF that is worthwhile actually pointing out. Next slide, please. This summarizes everything. This is the Australian qualification framework. So basically what I was telling you about high school, you have that on the left side, and if you look on the middle, you have certificate 4. So basically certificate 4 in any subjects, in any area, any discipline, so it's hospitality, IT, different areas, that's basically what you need to get to university. So either you have high school, or the equivalent to that is actually your certificate 4 in any area, gives you actually access to university. So you see, so then you have vocational sector, and you have the higher education. And so there is a comparison, basically after advanced diploma is equivalent to a straight degree, diploma is equivalent to diploma, and then basically we don't offer degrees in the vocational sector, but we also do offer postgraduate certificate and also postgraduate diploma, which is equivalent to that of higher education. So this gives you a very brief summary, and what's happening is that the higher education and the vocational articulates with one another at times. Thank you. Next slide. This is a very important bit, is actually traineeships and apprenticeship. Up until last year, the employer would have to pay for their employees to do apprenticeship. In New South Wales, from this year on, it's actually free. So employer don't have to pay. And instead, the employer gets $4,000 for each apprentice that they do have. And there's a lot of actors in the market trying to get people to get a job. So apprenticeship and traineeship is too often a very good pathway. And if your children is in high school, this is a good way to get them started. Because they can start, I have some parents that say, oh, my kid don't want to go to school, they don't want to go every day. They can actually I've talked to people, they just want to be a car mechanic. Let them do that. So in 2 years, or 3 years, they're already their car mechanics, and then they can actually choose their future later. But these are actually already available for our children actually to do. We're importing a lot of skills. Skilled migration actually is for the carpenter, for the plumber, and all of these people that we do import. Instead, especially the government of New South Wales, what they've done is invest a lot of money to make sure that we train our own kids, and we do it fast. In the old days, for you to become an electrician, you had to go for 3 years. Now, you can do it in 1 year, because we also have moved towards what you call skilled-based, not only just apprenticeship. So either you can go through apprenticeship for 3 years, or you can show that you finished your certificate, which you could do actually in 1 year, and then become a registered electrician, for instance. So this accelerates the process, and many people don't want actually to do the apprentice because it takes too long. So instead, the government has put money aside to actually pay for the education of the children. So if one of the kids have finished high school, want to look at something to do, some of this qualification is actually free because it's totally paid by the government. This slide, micro-credentials. How many of you have heard of micro-credentials? Yeah. In the old days, like my days, in order for me to become employable, I would have to do a degree. And because I thought it would be very hard for me, so I did many degrees. Today, no, not necessarily. You know, it's like the days when I was young and I liked a song, I would go and I would buy the whole record. Yeah? Today you just download the exact song that you need. You download it and you just listen to it. You don't care about the other ones that you didn't like. Yeah, it is the same. Education has moved towards that direction, and it's what we call micro-credentials. So you see, in order for you to do a degree, it will take you 3 years, sometimes more, 5 years, if you decide to do a double one. But micro-credentials, you can do them between 9 hours and 40 hours. Become an ethical hacker, for instance. Yeah? So these are things that, basically what you do is that you specialize in one area. And you become really, really good at it. And what you do is that you find out maybe where you're working, which way the organization is going, and then you start focusing in those areas and develop those skills, exactly the skill sets that is hot in the market. Like Jane was talking about, you check what is it that they're looking into and start getting those skill sets and start promoting it, for instance, through your LinkedIn, and then you become employable. So these are different areas. Like for us at Darwin College, for instance, we do it in project management, in marketing, and different other areas. Just instead of doing the whole diploma, people can subscribe for the whole diploma, but they can pay one by one, and then they can finish it and put on their portfolio. And we really focused on what's current and up to date. For instance, 8 units at Darwin College equals 10 at Universal Business School. So they give us 10 subjects for 8 units to do at Darwin College. So if you're very focused, everything is very recent. All the teachers are actually working, because only we use people who are actually working in industry, not career teachers. We don't use them. So we use people who are actually doing the job, and they come with current expertise to the training. So basically what happened is that too often you might have some of these skills. Like teachers in the US, 65% says they would be interested in this type of training, micro training. And then another 35 says maybe they know they have quite a lot they have quite a lot of micro competence credentials already, and some they just want to polish what they already have. But going through the process allows you to see. And we do some gap training as well. We assess what people have, and then you only need to learn what you don't have. In the Australian system, we call it RPL, Recognition of Prior Learning. And that is something that you might have acquired here, or you might have acquired it overseas, so you can still actually, update your skills, and then present that through your resume. Okay, our next slide, or that's it. I think. Yeah. I think we will stop there. But so consider yourself in terms of if you have some skill sets that you want to get evaluated, and contact a college that will do it for you. Any question? Yeah.
The age market for this sort of thing. You're looking at young people, but what about older people who already has a job and wants to do extra on the side, or who's not working but want to improve their previous skills?
Oh, by the way, this applies to everyone. I like to give an example of children because I have one that's I've been watching over for a very long time. But this is the process that applies to each and every one of us. So basically, you just have to look at, and sometimes talk to HR in your company and see, where is it that new skills are heading, what is it that we're looking for in the future. And if you're looking for a job, I work also with many organizations where much of the training is actually free and paid for, especially if you're a job seeker, if you've been long-term unemployed. There's quite a lot of solutions out there for you that you can do. So being unemployed is actually you get quite a lot of advantages in terms of gaining new skills because government will pay for it, for much of it. Makes sense? Yeah. Thank you. Any more questions?
We'll take questions afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to be welcoming our next speaker. please forgive me if I get your name wrong. It's Miss Rayan El Baf from Disabilities Services. She is a Disabilities Services Consultant at atWork Australia. So let's all put our hands together as she comes forward.
Before I start, I wanted to thank Stephanie, iCare Services, and my sister Maud, who nominated me to come in and have a chat about what we do and what kind of services we provide. So as many of you all know, as what, Amanda had introduced, I'm an employment consultant service provider at atWork Australia, and as I think we've got a few more employment consultant places that have joined us today as well. So my job, and as well as their job, is supporting thousands more Australians into meaningful work. Today I'm here to talk to you about our desk provider and what we do in this space. Part of me coming here today is to also provide an understanding of what we can do as a disability employment service provider, as well as, I'm pretty sure it's across the board with everybody, not just me here today, not just the company that I'm representing today, what we could do and give you a better understanding of what we can provide for you. Okay, what we do. So, disability management services, employment support services, generalist services, mental health services, specialist services in culturally and linguistic diverse participants. So, basically, in 95% of our offices, we provide DMS and ESS. So it depends on what kind of management service that you need depending on your disability. We have those services, so we can provide both services. We also have a mental health allied services as well that can also provide help to give us specialized and expertise advice on how we can approach our clients and what we can do best for our clients. No matter which service, we believe that a person's belief about their ability to work can be a real barrier to employment, more often so than the actual condition itself. That's why we address all barriers in our biopsychosocial approach to supporting people. Our key points of differences, we have a program called Positivum, on one job coach from start to finish, access to in-house health professionals, support once our clients start working in a way that best meets their needs, and employers, and working with employers. I will go through each point as we go. So Positivum. Positivum is an online assessment incorporating interactive modules and an individualized coaching program. We developed this in partnership with allied health professionals. It helps us to understand the beliefs and the perceptions that may be a barrier to employment, and health coaching program aim to address these. One job coach start to finish. Our clients are provided with one job coach from start to finish, focusing on building capability, increasing motivation, and providing support to gain sustainable careers. Access to in-house health professionals. Our in-house allied health expertise, for example, occupational therapists, psychologists, and physiotherapists, enables us to unlock our clients' can-do capacity from a functional medical perspective. Support once our clients start working. Dependent on our clients' needs, we will continue to support them through the 52 weeks post-placement support, ongoing support, and on-job support. This is tailored to the best of our clients' needs. Working with employers. We work with employers to promote the benefits of employing people with disability, building a solid business case and the confidence to do so. In fact, we've already been working in this with a network of employers to ask them a few simple questions about their staff member. We've asked them, who will be your next staff member? And they've all come back with the same sort of responses. Productive, reliable, safe, and affordable. And the answer to all these questions, as you and I all know, that person can be a person with disability. In fact, 1 in 5 Australians living with a disability is highly likely that employers already employ someone with a visible or an invisible disability. We proudly collaborate with many employers in Australia, sourcing great candidates for the job vacancies and working together to change lives through employment. And these are just to name a few. As of 1st of July 2018, we have expanded nationally and to over 270 locations. We are now the second largest provider in Australia. And our locations, if you can all see, these are the ones nearest to Liverpool. How we go about getting the right person to do the job. Our service module is focused in these key areas, putting each client at the center of everything that we do. We develop tailored plans centered for the needs of each client. We partner with experts to deliver appropriate services that will make a positive impact. We support long-lasting community connections and passionately advocate for our clients' best interests. We assist clients to take productive steps towards work and life goals. We maintain the energy and momentum to help our clients realize their full potential, and we focus on respect, care, and inclusion. This is just a quick feel-good story of one of our clients from our RIDE office. She was working with, she had a passion to work with children. She had an invisible disability, and atWork Australia was able to help her find what she was passionate about to work in. Nothing is more powerful and makes a profound impact on a person's life and that of their family and the community than getting the right person into the right job. We all, I'm pretty sure that it's across the board with all providers. We all look forward to working with you and our clients to make this a reality. You can approach me if you'd like any details, as well as visiting our website if you want to know where the nearest office for you is. Thank you. Before I end my speech, I was asked to give a feel-good story. This time I wanted to give a story about where I came from and what happened for me to be at where I am today. My background is actually accounting. I studied accounting, I studied finance, and I did all of that, and I worked for a very long time in this field. I took 3 months off to be with my daughter and decided to just take some time off, be with her for a little bit, and do what I needed to do as a single mum. And I just started applying for different jobs, and I actually started in Job Active. And the reason why I wanted to move forward into disability is because I wanted to have a career as a social worker or a counsellor, but I couldn't take that step in the position that I was today. So the next step for me was disability. And it was one client who made me change, or what really pushed me to change and to move into this field that we are all in now. It was a client who was connected to New South Wales STARTS, which is the Services for Treatment and Rehabilitation of Torture and Trauma Survivors. When I started with him in Job Active Provider, he couldn't even look at me. He couldn't even keep eye contact. He didn't want to talk, he didn't want to say a single word. We had a meeting with STARTS, and I realized there are so many people out there that need this sort of help, because mental health is an invisible disability. I couldn't take the step to be a counsellor or to be a social worker at that point in my life, so I decided to go into disability, and it was because of that client. And now being in this for just over a year now, I absolutely love what I do. And I'm pretty sure that every single provider out there does that too. So, it might not be a good feel-good story about a client, but it was for me as well. So, just because physically we all look fine, it does not mean that there isn't something that we can help you with in any shape, way or form. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to approach me to allow me to show you how you can move forward into work. Thanks.
So our last speaker for the afternoon is Mr. Marc Haynes from the University of Sydney. Just to give you a little bit of an introduction about him, networking is central to Marc's successful careers as a chartered accountant. He's a higher education administrator, lecturer, coach and mentor. In 1987, Marc moved from Guyana to begin university in New York City. Where not knowing anyone, he began to build relationships for mutual benefit. And Marc views every encounter as possibly adding to his network and has developed tools to maintain and manage these relationships. So we're very excited to have him here today. He's going to be talking about professional networking. Can we put our hands together for Marc Haynes?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I think I'll begin with a question. When you hear the word network or networking, what comes to mind? Connection. What type of connection? Talking to businesses. Anything else? Never got that answer before. Let's stay away from the gossiping, because no good thing can come out of gossiping. Yeah, so when I hear the word network, I hear the word networking. A lot of people, I believe, think of it as something they need to do in order to find a job. That's one of the things that you can do when you network, or that you can accomplish from networking. But that shouldn't be the primary focus of networking. Networking for me is building a long-term, ongoing relationship. So, beginning here today, you should get to meet as many people as possible. Find out a way to, what interests them, what are common interests you may have with them, what it is that they do, where they work, what is it they enjoy doing about their particular job, what things they would have liked to do differently with the information that they now have. And you enlarge your circle. The more people you know, and you use LinkedIn as the tool, one of the tools that you can connect with people, the more information that you have as an individual, as a professional, the better the decisions you can make going forward. Now, the only way you can get as much information as you possibly can in your career, or if you want to change fields and move into another area, is to gather information by meeting people that have worked in those areas, people that work for companies that you're interested in working with. Reach out to those people and network with them. Ask questions, gather information. The intent of doing that is for one main purpose. So that when there's a need for an ask, you already have established a relationship with them. You're just not picking up the phone cold and say, hey, I need a job, that kind of thing. You establish a relationship with someone by getting to know them. So you go to as many events as possible, you meet people, you ask questions, you come up with a way to keep in contact with them, whether it's on LinkedIn. Now, one of the things that I use LinkedIn for, as part of my network, is as I meet people and I find out their interests, and I keep that at the back of my mind. I read lots of different newspapers, lots of different articles, and if something pops into my mind that I know someone in my network might be interested in, I'm going to send them a copy of that article. Not because I care if they read the article or not. Truth be told, you may be getting an article soon. But the intent for me is, hey, I'm still here, I'm alive. I want to keep in touch with them. It's not just someone you've met once and you've forgotten about them, all right? So I tell you this because networking for me is a long-term project. It's an ongoing project. It's an everyday project for me. Everyone I meet is a potential contact, a potential network. But there's another important aspect about networking. It's not just about you, it's also about other people and the people you meet. So there are a lot of people here that are in similar situations. Now, as you move around the room, you move around life, you move around society, you go to other events, and you may have met someone here who is interested in, let's say, banking or insurance or some other area. You have no interest in that area. But you happen to meet someone who is in that area and doing really good, or maybe looking for people that are interested in working in that field, it's important for you to make that connection, all right? Because the more of us that are making connections for each other, the better it is for each one of us. And think about it, if you were the person on the receiving end, where someone said, hey, I remember I met you at that event, and they make that connection for you, you will be very grateful. Well, as Stephanie or someone was saying earlier, you put good out there, good comes back to you. So the more of us that are making those connections for other people, the more likely we are to receive those kinds of connections. So start networking today, start by talking to people, start by asking questions. But then there are a couple of things about networking. You gotta get ready. It's not just something you should do without being ready. One of the ways you can get ready is by first getting your LinkedIn profile updated and correct. But then there's another thing I would add with the LinkedIn profile. As someone who recruits people often, I may look at the LinkedIn profile, may look interesting, but then I may Google the name, and the Facebook page comes up. and there's a disconnect. Solid, serious professional, nice LinkedIn page, but crazy party person, might have done a couple of, you know, big nights, let's leave it at that, out in the town. I may have my doubts about that individual, okay? So yes, LinkedIn is a great tool to begin a professional networking, but you also got to make sure that the other aspects of your social networking are not too crazy, not too, you know, I mean, you're entitled to have a personal life, but you also want to, in this day and age where people can find information on you, you want to make sure that it's clean, that it's, you know, it's not too crazy and wild out there, because some employers may have a problem with that. And some employers do drug testing, they may do whatever they do, background checks or whatever, and if they see a lifestyle that's representative or not similar to the values that they hold or maintain, they may not want to talk to you, regardless of the fact that you may have good skills and good experiences. So you got to make sure that the left hand and the right hand are quite similar as you present yourself. Another important aspect about networking is the part about getting ready, your elevator speech. Does anyone know what an elevator speech is? Or elevator pitch? So you need to be able to introduce yourself in 3 seconds or 10 seconds or less, 10 seconds or less, maybe a little bit more, maybe 2 minutes. It depends on where you are. As quickly and as briefly as possible to the person in front of you. So the concept behind the elevator pitch came from, you happen to be selling a product or have something you'd like to promote, and you happen to run into someone in an elevator that can help you promote that product. Now, the elevator takes off from the ground floor, and that person is getting off on a couple of floors above, you got a few minutes to make a case. That's the idea behind the elevator pitch. So you go to events, you go to networking events, and I'll talk about networking events in a minute. You go to events and you meet people, and there are lots of people there, and everybody wants to meet the person or the couple of people that are there. How then do you quickly introduce yourself to that person, and so that the person has an interest in you, all right? It's simple, you begin with your name, but then you have to have that catch, that hook, all right? What makes you different or stand out above everyone else in the crowd? So it comes down to knowing your story, understanding your story, and being able to summarize your story in a way that makes you unique and interesting, that other people want to know about you. Now, as you work in your elevator pitch, you need to be able to tailor it to the particular audience. So lots of us here have different aspects of our lives. So I do networking, professional networking courses as something else in addition to my day job. My day job is in finance, and I also teach a couple of accounting and finance classes. So depending on who I'm talking to, I need to be able to introduce myself and tailor that introduction to the thing that I'm hoping to ask them for, or the thing that they may be interested in. So if I'm looking to teach a class at another institution and I happen to meet a professor or a senior administrator at that institution, I may briefly my accounting background or my finance background because that's relevant to the class that I'd like to teach, but I'm quickly going to go and talk about my teaching experience too. Now, if I happen to meet someone that's in finance or accounting at a company that I'd like a full-time job at, I'm definitely not going to talk about my teaching experience because it's totally relevant. All right? So you need to be able to tailor your conversation, tailor your pitch as quickly as possible to the person that you're talking to. The other part of it, and the last part of it, is there needs to be room for an ask. So I'm introducing myself to you, but what am I asking for? Am I asking for your business card? Am I asking for the ability to contact you later on, send you an email, connect with you on LinkedIn? Can I send you my resume? There needs to be an ask afterwards. So there's 3 aspects to the pitch: the introduction, the hook, and the ask, all right? What else can I tell you about networking? So where do you begin to find opportunities to network? You begin right here today. If you're in a particular profession, you get online, you look up for professional organizations. Lots of times I hear from students, oh, professional organizations are too expensive to join. That may be so, but lots of professional organizations have student memberships, or you can just attend events for free. Find out when those events are and just show up. You know, be professionally dressed, come with a lot of questions. The key is, as I said before, networking isn't to just help you find a job. It's to enable you to get as much information as possible so you can make a decision. Now, if it results in you getting a job, even better, all right? But you need to have as much information and be able to build ongoing and long-term relationships with people, and it begins by finding out where those people are, getting to meet them, and figuring out a way to network with them and maintain a relationship over a long period of time. So you begin professional events and start off with your hairdresser, your barber. They're also cutting the hair and doing the hairstyles for other people who are connected. Your religious institution, hang around for coffee before and after church, or whatever your faith is. There are other professionals in the audience there that are coming to that organization that can help you meet people that you're interested in professionally. You happen to be in an elevator, you strike up a conversation. Sometimes I go to events for work, and there are people across the room that, I've never met them before, but I strike up a conversation with them. How am I able to do that? I'm not much of a sports fanatic, and I think this is where the sports fans have an edge above me. Because they can easily go talk about the footy or whatever their game is, and people then you begin a conversation that way. I'm into politics, and because I'm from America, a lot of people are into American politics and things American. As much as I'd like to forget American politics these days, I don't, because people want to talk about it, and that works well for me. So we can talk about it. And I use that. So I give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, there was this whole thing in the States with Trump and Mexico, and he ended up having he was on the lawn, and he had this letter, and he said, oh, he's got an agreement with Mexico, whatever the issue was, and he was waving this letter around. And 2 days later, I happened to be sitting at a table, and across the room was the Mexican ambassador to Australia. It's like, what am I going to talk to him about? So, and actually there's a funny backstory to that. My eyesight isn't that good, so I didn't realize it was the Mexican ambassador. And the photographer came up, she had her bag behind me, and she was switching things around. So I called her and I said, could you do me a favor, please? And she's like, what? I said, could you take a picture of that guy straight across the table from me? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, let me see how he comes up. And I had her blow the picture up so I can see the name and the title on his thing. And it had his name and had, Mexican ambassador. So as soon as he was finished talking and everything, I leaned over. I said, Mr. Ambassador, how are you? And he's like, I said, how about some breaking news today? What's in the letter? And right there and then, he was eager to talk about the letter. Conversation started. Yeah. At the end of the lunch, he comes around and he introduces himself and he says hello and he wanted to know more about me. And I said, I'd love to get on the invitation list for the Mexican embassy in Canberra. So said, so done. Sent him an email, he sent me an email, I'm on that list. Haven't been invited to any events as yet, but I share that story with you because that's how you network, all right? You figure out a way to connect with people. Now, I probably don't want to go work for the Mexican embassy, but I figured, if they have an event, they're probably going to be inviting people from all sorts of other embassies. I want to be there to meet them, yep. All right? So you figure out a way that works for you to build your network. Now, nothing has happened between the States and Mexico lately, but as soon as something does, I'm probably going to find an article and send it to him on LinkedIn just to have him remember who I am and keep me fresh in his mind, so to speak. All right? And you need to do something similar. You have to create what works for you. All right? For a lot of people, I was a very shy kid growing up in Guyana, and doing this, if you ask me, could I do something like this a couple, maybe 15, 20 years ago? hell no, it wasn't gonna happen, all right? So if you're a shy person, you have to learn to come out of your comfort zone. Go to events and start off right here and set a goal for yourself. I'm going to talk to 3 people today. I'm going to connect with them on LinkedIn. I'm going to ask their business card. I'm going to ask them what they do. Take the conversation past about the weather, what do you do kind of thing. Tell me what you like about your job. What don't you like about your job? What can you do differently if you had the time or the money to do it? Take the conversation to the next level. Start off with one person, start off with 2 people, and the next event, do 3, do 5, do 10, okay? And then commit to yourself to following up with that person afterwards, okay? Because the follow-up is the important part of it. A lot of people are gonna be introducing themselves to the speakers and everything, but what makes you stand out above the crowd? And part of it has to do with the follow-up, all right? I think I can stop there for now. Any questions?
You mentioned about LinkedIn, and then you mentioned about Facebook, and there's Instagram, and then there's Twitter. So anyone can look that up. But the thing is, a lot of people have their private and public lives. And I know you have to be transparent when you're going to go out there professionally. But is it necessarily to have your Facebook private? Like, there could be only certain friends that can understand what you're talking about.
Okay, let me tell you this. I think we should make the assumption that nothing is private out there.
Yep.
Okay? You may have your Facebook settings on private, but there's somebody's going to figure out a way to get access to it. Or the one thing I've found since I moved to Canberra a year ago, Canberra is a very small town. So if you were to apply for a job and I looked and your Facebook is private, I'm pretty sure I can walk from my office and find someone that's a friend of yours and have them bring up your Facebook page. It's that easy, all right? So I'm not saying, you have to have an invisible life, but, there are pictures that are posted, friends may post and tag you in, that is not necessarily your best shot, or I'm not talking about, the picture itself, but the activity in the picture, all right? One needs to be cognizant of that. You can go out and have a big night. There doesn't necessarily need to be physical evidence of that on the internet. Okay? There's a saying in the States, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. The same should be true here. All right? Next question.
Does that go across from Instagram as well?
Everything. Facebook, Instagram. I mean, look at my Instagram picture. Recently I've settled in just sunrise and sunset shots. And you're going to see hundreds of sunrise and sunset shots because I enjoy taking sunrises. In Canberra, you see a lot of great sunrises and sunsets, and I happen to be in a location where I get some pretty good shots, so that's what I focus on. Now, I go out and have a good time with my friends. You ain't going to find any pictures of that on the internet. All right? And there aren't going to be any articles in any newspaper written about my activities, dancing at a club or anything like that. So you can do your stuff, but you just have to keep it private. So you have your circle of friends, they know, the things that you like to do. It doesn't necessarily need to be public. It needs to be public because, it's not necessarily right, but employers look at that information and they make a judgment one way or the other. And you want to be able to present yourself in a way that appeals to everyone and doesn't, part of the reason why it's being done is, yes, they want a good employee, but second is they have so many good people to choose from when jobs are posted, all right? And as an employer, you're just looking for that one little excuse to say, nah, not interested in this person. Because it's very hard to differentiate between applicant A, applicant B, and applicant C. So it's more a process of elimination rather than a selection of the best candidate, okay? So you want to make sure that there's nothing out there that makes you the candidate that's eliminated. Fair enough? Let me take another question for you.
Sometimes, like in Facebook, you know the news on in Australia, like Muslims between each other, that you said your opinion about what's happened in Australia between everything, politics. So if I did my opinion in Facebook, I'd share it with everybody. Does that make the employer judge me about what I'm saying?
Depends on the job you're going for.
Like,
Alright.
I want to business admin, to,
It depends on the job you're going for, and it depends on the employer. All right. For me, it wouldn't bother me one way or the other. For another employer, it may bother him or her. All right. So, like I said, we really, with the advent of the internet, the whole concept of privacy, like I tell my sister, she refuses to shop online. She lives in London. She refuses to shop online because she says, oh, it's not safe or whatever. And I said to her, you have a cell phone? Yeah. Is it a recent cell phone? Yeah. You can forget about privacy. Because anybody that wants your information, they can spend some time, and regardless of passwords and all that stuff, I don't need to scare anybody. But anyone that really wants your information on their computer with, they can get your information.
I'm not afraid of getting the information because I know when I put my information on the internet, everybody can see.
Everyone see it.
But I am afraid of judge me. People will judge me about what I'm saying, sharing my ideas. Like the employer will judge me like maybe I'm racism or something like that if I talk about.
So here's the flip side of that. You probably don't want to work with someone that judges you negatively with your opinions. So if someone sees that information, they say, I don't want to work with that person, chances are you don't want to work with them either.
But on the other side, if so many employees thinking like that, I will not have money to live in Australia.
So this is where the networking thing becomes important, right? Because in you meeting people and networking with people and building relationships with them, they get to see a different side of you, as opposed to the side that they may look and assume that you're similar to everyone else that posts a similar article on the internet, all right? So this is where it's very important to start within your community and build outside of your community, right? So that eventually, when you're looking for that particular job, you can have someone maybe walk your resume into their company, or someone who can make a phone call and make a referral for you, as opposed to just sending a resume cold and hoping that the person doesn't look at the internet and see things that you may or may not have posted before. Okay? You may have to just work a little bit harder to, as a person of color, there are lots of times I've had experiences where my name, Marc Haynes, is pretty much a generic name. You can't tell if I'm white, black. It's just, and it's not a made-up name. That's the name I was given at birth, and Haynes is my father's name. But I've had experiences in the States where I've showed up for interviews, and they were totally surprised to see a black guy. They just didn't expect to see a black guy. So, I've been able to overcome situations where people see that by having people make a referral for me and saying, I can vouch for this person. This person is a credible person, there's a good employee, they're skilled, they're honest, and that kind of thing. It may just take a little more work for you, okay? Thank you very much. Any questions?
The
Sure.
last one.
So you're talking about the network and the recommendation.
Sorry, please use the mic. It's going to be
Sure.
Yeah, so you talk about the recommendation and the networking.
Mm-hmm.
So like the people like us who can make like networking and the recommendation from other like people who was already working on professional people. So what is the easiest way to get the job? So go to the places, meet the people, and then tell them to recommend. Suppose you are the recruiter, and if someone knows about me, and if that person call and say like, oh, this is the man, say he's good, and then they say like, you give more priority than other people to me. But if I don't have anyone to give the recommendation, so what is the best way? So,
Well, like I said, with networking is a long game. It's not a short game, right? We may have a need right now in that we need to find a job right now, okay? So yeah, we're gonna do the traditional things we do. We're gonna get and seek and apply for jobs and do all that kind of stuff. But you need to balance it. You gotta have a short game, you gotta have a long game. And the networking for me is not just a short game, but it's also a long game. But more importantly, it is a long game, all right? So do the things you need to do right now to find a job as quickly as you can. But that may not be the job that you really would like to have, all right? So what's your long game, all right? Your long game is making sure your LinkedIn profile is up and running, going to events, professional networking events, and going back to professional networking events. If you're uncomfortable going alone, get a buddy to go with you. I used to go with my friend Michelle, straight out of college. We'd enter the door, she'd go this way, I'd go that way. And the intent is, we're not there to meet the same people. Because if she meets people that she knows I'll be interested in meeting, she'll make the connection, and I'll do the same for her. All right? And it helps build your confidence too if, you as opposed to going by yourself, you go with someone else. Make sure your pitch is ready, have that story, be able to tell about yourself. Talk about yourself in a few words. Have a simple, nice, well-packaged story. Where you're from, what do you do, what are your interests? All right? And ask a lot of questions. Now, as you meet people and you ask them, can I connect with you on LinkedIn? Another important part about LinkedIn, just don't use the generic, what do you call it? Request to, send a note. So I'd rather suspect that by the end of this week, I would get a few LinkedIn requests, with a nice little note. Just don't send a generic, create a personalized note to that person. Now, as you identify jobs, like you talked about looking for jobs in Seek, right? Now, you may look at the company, and one of the things you'll notice on LinkedIn is that it'll tell you who may be following that company or who works at that company, right? Now, if there's someone in your network that works for that company, you may or may not feel comfortable, but give it a shot. Nothing attempted, nothing gained. Reaching out to that person and asking that person if they can make a referral for you for that job. So I hope that answers your question. You may not know anyone right now that works in a company or can get you the role that you desire. But if you start to network and build those relationships, eventually it comes back around and there's a connection. And LinkedIn helps you identify those connections. So you need to build up your LinkedIn profile. You need to start connecting with people, figuring out a way to keep in touch with them. And as you identify the jobs you want, you look to see who works at that company, who may be in your network, or who in your network knows people that work for that company. And you sort of go through that way. Okay?
Thank you so much, Marc. Okay, so that concludes session 2. All of our speakers have come up. Thank you so much to each and every one of you that have come up and spoken today. I know that I've gained a lot from it myself.